we reckon we're going to have 10 to 15% of our students and teachers involved in interactive online education at any point in time. I said, let's just keep this simple. So that's less than 300 people. What sort of interactive communication? Oh, well, it'll be online learning and virtual classrooms and Mandarin speakers and all sorts of really creative stuff. And it wasn't something that they were thinking about, it's something that they were doing. And they had all that proof of concept, Skype-type models in place to prove that it was possible. So we sat down and did some calculations and said, okay, well, what does that mean in terms of bandwidth requirements? And, you know, fortunately, if we're going to be talking about gigabit connections in the future, well, hell, we're going to need it. Because 300 connections simultaneously, you know, let's give them a half a meg each, is a hell of a lot of bandwidth. The crunch came when we had a discussion and say, well, who are they going to be communicating with? And the feedback was 80 to 90% of it was going to be internal. Now, we've tested that theory on a number of different sites, particularly government agencies in large buildings with maybe 400 people on premise or a floor plate with 60 or 70 people. What we're seeing is behaviour changing in terms of the way people are using this technology. And we need to take that in consideration in the context of the architecture and the user experience. We're seeing people not going to meeting rooms in a floor plate with some, you know, say 60 people on the floor plate. There's 5 meeting rooms, they're fully booked. 3 people are sitting at their workstations in a video conference with a 4th person who's off-site. What we're seeing is a very high level of uptake of this technology, particularly when it's applied to web and portable devices, which is actually within the local area network. It makes no sense, and this is where we fundamentally challenge some aspects to do with the way that the cloud model works in the context of video conferencing, is that as we scale this sort of service, is we're seeing that it works for 1, 2, 5, maybe 10, 20 people, but when you start talking about hundreds, which is the scenario that's being proposed, is it breaks. So the solution then is pretty simple, and it exists today, and it's not a matter of state government continuing to invest in technology and justifying it on the basis that they know that it doesn't work now. Believe me, we've lost lots of tenders on the basis that the successful party has been awarded a contract on the basis they're providing technology that the customer knows does not work, on the basis that it will work when the NBN comes along. We need to fundamentally rethink that theory, is that on the left-hand side with the cloud-based pure scenario without any distribution, we've moved to a decentralised model which has been the essence of what people are talking about, federated video conferencing across agencies and across large geographic areas. And we're moving to an exciting world of completely decentralised and distributed computing. So there is no MCU in our world anymore. It's simply IP-based packet routing, and it's delivering some really amazing benefits for communities, and they're all doing it in different ways. The practical example of that, and again, this is a simplified marketing story, but it is really as simple as that. Bring your own device. Use the $100,000 telepresence platform that you purchased 5 years ago. Don't throw anything away. Use your tablet, use your mobile phone. Connect to the household. Don't require they have anything other than an internet connection. I'll pose to you a very simple problem, and it's one of the points that resonates most strongly when we have discussions with councils, is that the traditional way that an MCU-based model works is that it requires that somebody is controlling the quality of the network links. It's a very awkward situation for council, or any other body for that matter, that spends a large amount of public funding on a system that only works if the end user can be guaranteed a couple of meg up and down. So our philosophy and approach at the moment is that more bandwidth is better. NBN must go ahead in one shape or form. However, we need to be able to, we can't exclude those people who won't be on the first or the second or the third release. People in Crookwell or wherever else they might live, or however they might choose to work. Because we have to cater for those people who might be in the surgery on Thursday but on the golf course on Friday. So the way we're doing that is with the application of innovative technology around signalling, packet distribution. We're fundamentally reshaping the architecture of the way video conferencing works. And as a consequence, we are able to avoid that very embarrassing situation where you have 10 people who are connected on a high-quality NBN-based section, and you have one person coming in from Coonabarabran, or wherever they might be, on a 150 kilobit per second link, and the experience that all of those other parties have is compromised because one party's not on the NBN. That's a real issue. It can only be managed by investment in transcoding, which in itself is and has been very expensive in the past, to the tune of thousands of dollars per connection. But more importantly, it adds additional latency, which we can't impose because already the infrastructure is slow in itself. It compromises the capacity of the NBN. So I'm sharing a few insights with you that are sort of semi-technical, but I believe they have enormous practical application. Our experience tells us that everyone is largely having a discussion about scenarios that are simple, 2 or 3 users. But from our experience, having seen our customers fully commit and engage their organisations to this sort of technology, is we're experiencing issues that the NBN won't in itself address. So we're having to do that with some architectural tricks, partnering up with the right companies, and packaging and making sure that the services can be delivered without people avoiding the big elephant in the room. So I'm happy to take any questions of a sort of semi-technical nature or otherwise, and I thank you for the opportunity to throw a few challenging issues at you.
Thanks, Pete. Just a round of applause for Pete, please. So again, I've got a few questions here that have been asked via Twitter, but I'm happy to throw to the audience first to see if there's any questions from real life people sitting in the audience there. Any hands?